Breaking news from the Supreme Court today. In a shadow docket ruling, the court said the Trump administration can continue indiscriminate immigration stops targeting Latinos and Spanish speakers. The court's ruling blocks a lower court decision barring, quote, roving patrols in Los Angeles. Now, the order was unsigned, but in a concurring opinion, Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote that he granted the administration's request because, quote, apparent ethnicity can be a relevant factor, end quote. And if a U.S. citizen gets caught up in these stops, folks, well, Kavanaugh and the majority says that's okay. They will be free to go after their encounter with authorities. So there you are. Justice Sonia Sotomayor spoke for the three dissenters, writing, quote, we should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job. Rather than stand idly by while our constitutional freedoms are lost, I dissent, as we all should. Joining us now is Andrea Flores, Vice President of Immigration Policy and Campaign at Forward.us, and Lucy Caldwell is still with us.
So you have reminded me over and over again that this shouldn't actually be that surprising if you've been paying attention to what's happening at the U.S.-Mexico border.
That's right. Racial profiling at the U.S.-Mexico border, Kavanaugh cited a lot of cases that looked at racial profiling as one factor in immigration enforcement, but that's just been a reality for the Mexican Americans largely who lived at the border. Now, what's so significant about today, though, is he really is unleashing that same tactic in interior cities, far from the border, where Latinos are not. I mean, no one should be used to what border communities have experienced, but this is absolutely outrageous. And really, it's an embarrassing day for the court. If people read the actual individual cases of the type of racial profiling that ICE have been doing in L.A., it was one of the strongest records I've seen. And for them to just dismiss it and for Kavanaugh to so boldly say, unauthorized migration is maybe bad, and there's a lot of undocumented people in L.A. It was so unscientific and poorly reasoned. It's a really embarrassing day for the court to go against the district court. I think they really lost some serious credibility today as an institution.
Because it's not if U.S. citizens get caught up in this. They had example after example of people who are here either with work visas, U.S. citizens who have, Simone, already been caught up in this.
It's actually just so crazy. And can I just, I don't want to steal Michael Steele's thunder, so I'll just talk about him for a second.
No.
But earlier today when I'm going to keep harkening back to we had a very weighty discussion about this.
It's like a hot ticket.
It was this meeting, you want to be in on the meeting, honey. I was just like, they are racial profiling. It's like stop and frisk being stamped by the Supreme Court. And it was the chairman that made the point that, it's just taking us back to the days of Jim Crow. And I'm like, yes. The problem here is that I think a lot of people will see this and they'll dismiss it as like, oh, that's unfortunate for those Latino people over there, or people that might look Latino, or you just might even present a little bit brown, and you too are on the chopping block, because that's what we're talking about here. But the reality is that, as a mentor once told me, history is unbroken continuity, and they first did this to black people in this country. Also, the Japanese, they rounded up people that looked a little Japanese in turn, but Japanese Americans. That happened in our country. This is actually who America is if left to their own devices. And so I think my concern, and I think the concern people should have about this is, let's just say if you maybe your heart's a little black, so you don't care about black as in like dark, like you don't have humanity for other people. Maybe you don't care about what's happening to the Latino community. To be very clear, there is nothing here that suggests that this is going to be relegated only to Latinos in America. It is anybody that the government can make this argument towards. We should all be outraged.
Can we look at the four factors that yes. the Supreme Court said were okay? Your race and ethnicity could be one reason, in addition to your workplace, in addition to the type of work that you do, and in addition to whether you speak a certain language or if you have an accent. That's insane. The United States is the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the entire world. So that unleashes a huge amount of the population. Anyone with accent in Spanish can suddenly, if they are in an industry that we consider to be of a certain class where there might be undocumented people, that is every industry in America. Yeah. That is every industry. So how are they going to implement this massive sort of free pass to racially profile? And I want to know what lawmakers right now are going to defend my own family and my own community from a decision like this. I don't want to hear a single discussion about winning back Latino votes without serious engagement about this decision. decision.
Yeah, I mean, what I was thinking about today is how fast this has happened in the court. And if I have one weakness, well, I have many weaknesses. My Achilles heel as an operative fighting against today's Republican Party, as an ex-Republican myself, is thinking that the court will hold the line. Just that faith. Well, the court is going to do the right thing. I grew up in the state of Arizona. In 2010, there was a state Senate bill called SB 1070. It was a state Senate version, very much like these policies. And the Supreme Court at that time struck down SB 1070. Now, it wasn't a Fourth Amendment case, but it was about whether or not you could go out and have local law enforcement do immigration enforcement based on these very same criteria, right? And so just to think how we've come in less than 15 years from a version of our country where we could feel confident that the Supreme Court would say that is so out of line, right? And again, different case, different issues, but very similar in substance to where we are now. We have to really seriously consider, what are our backstops? Do we have any backstop against this Trumpian autocracy? It is a very, very frightening day.